All set? Thank you all for being here, and this very, very important day. Our goal is threefold today. First is to stand in solidarity with those we've lost to drug overdoses involving fentanyl, and their loved ones like Fiona and Susan, who you're going to hear from shortly. The second goal is to prevent future deaths and harm, and that is by helping educate residents on the dangers of fentanyl and encourage residents who are struggling with substance use and their loved ones that there is help, to seek help and let residents know about addiction and harm reduction services and supports that are available in our community. And you'll hear from some of our providers about that. And third is to provide an overview of not just the addiction and harm reduction services, but also the law enforcement actions being taken locally to address this national public health crisis. And I wanted to take a moment to thank the individuals that have had their own tragic experiences for being with us here today, the individuals that are working every day on the streets and in our community to help provide supports to people, and also our members of the law enforcement that are focusing on the individuals that are benefiting from the sale of drugs and taking advantage of so many people that are struggling with addiction. And in particular, I wanted to give a special thanks to Agent Bello, who's come all the way from Boston because of the importance of this event. I want to give some just framework around fentanyl itself. Fentanyl is highly addictive and a lethal drug. It's killing New Haveners and Americans across the country. And not a week goes by in New Haven where we don't lose 1, 2, 3, or more members of our community to drug overdose deaths. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid and has two main types, pharmaceutical fentanyl and illegally made fentanyl. It is relatively inexpensive, highly addictive, and comes in a variety of forms, including powder and pills. Fentanyl is 50 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more potent than morphine. And it is the single deadliest drug threat our nation has ever encountered, according to the DEA administrator. Nationally, the CDC estimates that over 110,000 people in the United States have died of drug overdoses and poisonings in 2022 alone, with almost 70% of those deaths involving synthetic opioids like fentanyl. And tragically, the trend appears to be headed in the wrong direction. Locally in 2022, we lost 127 New Haven residents to drug overdoses. I'm going to say that again. In 2022, we lost 127 New Haven residents to drug overdoses. And in 2023 so far, we've lost 63 New Haven residents to date. We estimate that approximately 90% of those deaths involve fentanyl. For every drug overdose that results in death, there are also many more non-fatal overdoses that cause significant harm to individuals and families. And despite this sobering news, there's hope and there is help, and that is our focus here today. Our public health initiatives involve health education, addiction, substance use treatment, evidence-based harm reduction services, supports, and practices. The city and our partners are doing a lot on this front, and we're grateful to our partners not only for doing this work, but helping to guide our thinking and develop our thinking on how to respond. Our health director, Director Bond, will provide an overview of what the city's doing, from public education to training to the distribution and usage of Narcan and fentanyl testing strips. And we have several of our partners who will share more about these services as well. On the law enforcement side, the CDC has found that most recent cases of fentanyl-related overdose are linked to illegally made fentanyl, which is distributed through illegal drug markets. Tragically, as the DEA has found, drug traffickers are increasingly mixing fentanyl with other illicit drugs to drive addiction and create repeat business. Many victims of fentanyl poisoning are unaware they ingested fentanyl. Let me be clear to users and those struggling with substance use disorder, we want to offer help and treatment. This is a public health issue and requires a public health response. However, to the producers, traffickers, and gangs and dealers, we have a very different message for you. If you peddle and profit off of this drug and you cause harm to our residents and our community, We will continue to do everything in our power to hold you accountable and bring you to justice. Most importantly, if you or someone you know would like to get connected to treatment, call the Connecticut Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services 24/7 hotline, 1-800-563-4086, 1-800-563-4086, or go to Connecticut Without Stigma website at connectghv.org. Again, connectghv.org. There is help and there is hope. And now I'm going to turn it over to Director Maritza Bond from our Health Department. Director Bond.
Thank you, Mayor. It is with great pleasure to be here this afternoon on this sunny day. Although we know that the weather is nice, we know that many of us are in this audience still grieving the loss of a family member, a brother, a sister, an uncle, or a friend. And so I stand alongside in solidarity with each of you because I know how important this issue is. And as the health director, my team and I are committed in carrying out the mission in really promoting health, preventing illness, and protecting the health of our residents. And that's why we are committed in ensuring that we are investing resources and actively looking for resources that we can not only utilize within our department, but also provide them in the community so that other providers on the ground doing that work can be able to do the efforts on reducing fatalities in our city. The mayor gave a framework of the fatalities, and to give you a percentage perspective, over 200% of the increase of the fatalities within the last 5 years have been communities of color. And that is alarming. And we have to make sure that not only today, but every day we continue to strive on the awareness of resources, the protection that we have in the Good Samaritan law, that if you see someone that is experiencing some level of symptoms, know the signs, stay with the victim, and be able to call 911 so that they can be able to be saved. Also, we have implemented rovers throughout the community with many different partners to making sure that test strips are made available so that people that are using have the ability to test their product. We want to make sure that they have other resources at their disposal as well. Surveillance and monitoring is something that we do every single day. Not something that we do once a week, but every day we are trying to ensure that we know where is happening, how we can activate the harm reduction providers, and then allocate those resources to those neighborhoods so that individuals can get the help that they need. I want to thank the fire department and the police department for their efforts in really being able to share the data so that we can be able to compare and be able to know where the issues are happening. And so my ask for you today is, if you see something, say something. Test without questions. Test strips are available with no questions asked. We have the community van right behind us that are available as well, and we'll be speaking momentarily on their services. We want to make sure that if you're using, that you know what you're using. A few weeks ago, I just shared with some advocates that a childhood friend of my son, who I saw growing up, and I was a PTA mom at Davis Street School, he lost his life at the age of 25 because he thought he was purchasing marijuana, and he purchased something that was laced with fentanyl and did not live another day beyond 25. And it's individuals like that that we have to make sure that we are increasing the awareness and being able to know that testing is available. We also will have an event right here at this park on August 31st on National Overdose Day, where many of our partners will be present. And we want to make sure that people have the resources, but most importantly, that we continue to fight this fight collectively together as a community. And with that, I'm going to turn it over back to the mayor, who's our MC. Or do you want me to? I'm going to invite Fiona, a dear friend, up to the microphone to speak on her efforts.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name's Fiona Cullinan-Fareed. In March of 2018, we lost our son Cameron to a fentanyl, a poisoning. Cameron asked someone he knew for an OxyContin. They sold him 3 pills stamped with the OxyContin logo. He partially used 1 pill, and he died quietly in his bedroom of our New Haven home. We were just on the other side of the door, going around our usual Sunday and thinking he was napping, Our youngest daughter found him when she went into his room because he didn't answer her knock on the door. It was too late for us to be able to save him. Cameron was already blue. As a family, we thought we knew, and we talked about what could be risky behavior for our children. We did not know about the dangers of counterfeit pills and illicit fentanyl. We didn't talk about it with our children. They didn't know either. The day Cameron died was the first time we heard the words fentanyl. We realized we had to cut through the stigma surrounding this issue immediately and educate on the danger that is in our midst. My daughter Isabel and I founded For Cameron, a nonprofit, so we could advocate and educate on this issue as broadly as possible. The number of people we have met while doing this work who have lost a loved one to fentanyl here in New Haven is horrifying. Cameron's death and the death of countless others was fully preventable. That makes it even more tragic. I'm speaking to the parents out there. Please educate yourself. Please speak to your children. Please ask your child's school to offer yearly education on this danger at every single grade level. Please ask your pediatrician if he is speaking to the children during their wellness checks in case they're not comfortable speaking to you. Our youths who still use are often scared. Young people are often scared by harder drugs. They think pills are a safe choice. They've grown up seeing medical advertising and they think they're taking something they can trust. No pill is safe if it was not prescribed for them. Our college-age students are now increasingly trusting harder drugs like cocaine. We need to educate them. The fentanyl is now in every single available drug use. Things that we know now that we didn't know then. When you speak to your children, please don't lecture them. Please don't label it a bad choice or a bad person. Please leave it an open-ended conversation. Ask them why they want to experiment and then try to educate them on the dangers because it's all around us. Our conversations need to be focused on how they can stay safe and feel accepted and what they need to know in this new landscape. It's killing more people than anything else, but we can change that just by talking about it, by raising awareness, by educating, and by sharing the resources that you're hearing about today. I want to close by saying every single parent should now have this. This is my Narcan kit. Since 2018, I never leave my house without Narcan. My husband carries it in his car. We give it to our children's friends when they come over. Our daughters who live in New York will go to nightclubs. We ask them to have it on them. Young people who have friends over should know where the Narcan is in the house and how to use it, because you can save somebody who overdoses by using this. And please raise awareness of fentanyl. Thank you very much.
And now if we could hear a few words from Ms. Susan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. I thank you for coming out today. Like Fiona said, we are advocates in our communities and around with our family and friends to push Narcan. My name is Susan, and I am Jose A. Vasquez's keeper, who goes by the nickname of Grass, short for Grasshopper. Jose was a victim of fentanyl in New Haven, Connecticut. Jose died at the age of 52 in Yale New Haven Hospital on August 4th, 2023. Jose's death sparked a passion in me to want to look out for my fellow brothers and sisters. And this was the birth of Grass Day in the Hill community. Every year since Jose has died, 2022, it began Grass Day. The first Saturday in August, we promote fentanyl and Narcan awareness to the Hill community at Trowbridge Square Park. I want to open with this question. Are you your brother's keeper? Are you your brother's keeper? And you may ask yourself, why am I asking you that question? The reason why I'm asking you that question is that because society has an unwillingness to take responsibility for their neighbors as their brothers and sisters. We at Grass Day for Cameron, Demand Zero, and Phillips Foundation are speaking for the loved ones whom we have lost that are in their graves today because of fentanyl, and also because of the stigma of fentanyl overdose and substance abuse. If you know someone, please do not judge them. Each and every one of us have a story to tell. We don't know how they got on the journey of substance abuse or how they died from fentanyl, but we need to open up our arms and listen to them and try to be a solution to them. No one is ever born saying, I want to die from fentanyl or substance abuse. We are here today to speak out for our loved ones whose voices have been silenced by the death of fentanyl. What will it cost the city of New Haven, the state of Connecticut, or our nation to act if someone has passed away in their bathroom or if they have passed out on a street corner? It will cost us everything as our brother and sister's keeper to save a precious life. We cannot be afraid to help someone if we see them passed out. It doesn't hurt to call 911 so that the rescue team can be on their way to save a precious life. And as it was mentioned earlier about the Good Samaritan law, you will not and cannot be prosecuted for staying near or for trying to save a life. Narcan should be a household name to the city of New Haven, the state of New Haven, and our nation. Regardless if you are a user or not, you should have Narcan, just as Fiona said earlier. Narcan can and will save our beloved ones from being silenced in the grave and hear no more. I thank everyone for coming out today. And I want to lastly say to you, with the question that I asked you earlier, are you your brothers and sisters' keeper? God bless you and thank you. I turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you, Susan and Fiona, for sharing your story, and we're so sorry for your loss. Appreciate all of your advocacy. Next, we're going to hear from 3 individuals that represent organizations that are working very much in this space of harm reduction. First, Elizabeth Nemiorowski, a nurse practitioner from the Yale Community Healthcare Van and New Haven Syringe Service Program. Then Mark Jenkins, founder and executive director of Connecticut Harm Reduction Alliance. And then John from Crisis Response Team Coordinator, Elm City Compass, who is we've gotten to know over these past 11 months now, since November. Keep up the good work. We're really grateful to you. But Liz, go ahead. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, everyone. Mayor Elicker and Director Bond, thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. My name is Liz Namorowski. I'm a nurse practitioner with the Yale Community Healthcare Van. I'd like to start here today just by taking a moment to honor and hold space for those in our community that have been impacted by an overdose. A ripple effect of individual lives lost and of families and friends and loved ones for whom fentanyl has irrevocably altered their life course. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge folks in the harm reduction world working to reshape the narrative on substance use and overdose. So as a brief background, the Yale Community Healthcare Van and New Haven Syringe Services Program provides judgment-free, comprehensive adult primary care and harm reduction services. This includes primary health care, drug testing, HIV and hepatitis C prevention, overdose education, naloxone distribution, and direct provision or linkage to care for folks who are interested in substance use treatment. We have an office location over on 270 Congress Ave, as well as our 40-foot mobile medical van, which is behind me. And then we have a discrete minivan that does home delivery for safer injection materials, and we have a mother and infant medical van. The New Haven Syringe Services Program has begun testing donated drug residue and samples via Fourier Transform Infrared Spectroscopy, FTIR. That's just a fancy way of saying that our machine uses light waves to identify and track harmful synthetic analogs or cuts in the drug supply. Our team uses FTIR to anonymously test substances in real time, and we can relay results directly back to clients. And the main goal here is to create conversations around harmful cuts and adulterants such as fentanyl or xylazine. This information is used for client knowledge and community safety only. We distribute information about the dangers of such cuts, such as xylazine, which we are seeing in lots of our substances brought in. It's a veterinary sedative. It does not respond to Narcan, so we've been doing a lot of counseling about rescue breathing and rescue position with that. Our goal here really is to help folks make informed decisions based on the results of the FTIR. As the drug supply both nationally and in New Haven continues to be unpredictable and dangerous. So to date, we've tested 137 samples from the New Haven community. Of those samples, 95 have been opioids, and 96% of those have tested positive for fentanyl. FTIR allows our team to candidly discuss potentially harmful active cuts in samples, and then what that means for an individual user, and then discuss overdose prevention strategies, including utilization of FTIR services themselves, fentanyl test strips, keeping Narcan on hand, letting others know when and where you'll be using. FTIR services, as well as all of our harm reduction services, free naloxone and fentanyl test strips and sterile syringe exchange, are all provided Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 270 Congress Ave, so that's our office location. And the community healthcare van behind me runs 5 days a week. We've got flyers with our locations and times if folks are interested. Thank you so much for your time and for the continued work that everyone has been doing to combat overdoses in New Haven.
Good afternoon. Generally, I don't need a microphone, but in this case right here, I'll accept one because I really don't feel like shouting. But thank you for the invitation, Mayor Ehrlicher, Chief Austin, always good to see you, as well as Liz, Angel. There's the whole crew because many of us work together. Fiona's actually holding one of the kits from us, and if you see the kit number on Fiona's bag, says 13,509. At that time, that was the amount of hand-to-hand Narcan kits that we had passed out. This is one of the more recent ones. This one is 31,494. We've actively given out more Narcan hand-to-hand, and that is not to talk about the organizations that we support, whether it be if we get a phone call from Chief Austin or anyone actually around the country when things, hit a hot spot. That's our job. We are Connecticut's only harm reduction organization by mission, vision, and value, meaning this is what we do. It's not just a part of what we do. Everything we do is about helping people keep people, and it's not just us. It's about helping support the chief of police. We work a lot with Lieutenant Fumiati, Fairhaven Task Force. I'm on a lot of panels where Fiona's around. These are things that we do day in and day out. So while we seek to bring some awareness today, we ask that you actually realize that the things we do are solely meant as in case of emergency and how to become a helpmeet, how to help people stay safe wherever they are. Naloxone and Narcan, as you hear about it, has one side effect and one side effect only. It saves lives. We have vehicles here in New Haven and in Hartford that hit the road pretty much 7 days a week. You'll see, I believe that Jerome is here. He also has part of our SORT team, which goes out whenever members of the community identify areas that may have drug waste, because COVID did some really bad things to our communities. But what it really did was separated populations that are already marginalized and caused them to become further disengaged. But the drug trash and everything, when it's identified, we're able to go out and hit those areas immediately. And if there's anything dangerous forward to the community, remove those things. Brandy is now in our new site at 645 Grand Avenue, which used to be the Emergency Shelter Management Services. We will be working with them to reutilize that space. We have a program actually with Yale, a campus program, and also with NYU, and that's just a few of the things that we do. But I'm not going to take up a whole lot of time. We are here. We have information. We have cards. There's anything we can do to partner with you, with your organization, to make sure if you need our RV out there also, we're available for you. All righty? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and everyone for being here for such an important issue. First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge the underlying mental health and trauma that is often absent from the conversations about addiction. There is not an addict out there that is not keenly aware of the risks associated with fentanyl, but we forget to ask why that risk is taken and why one feels so drawn to that risk. The Compass team has been operating since November, and we do take a harm reduction approach as well to help those afflicted with addiction and mental health. Our team focuses on maintaining relationships with the helps to get the conversation started about recovery. And we participate in the city and the health department's Rover program to help assist in distributing Narcan and fentanyl strips. Thank you again for being here and for this paying attention to this issue. Thanks.
Thanks, John. And finally, we're going to hear from Chief Carl Jacobson and also Chief Alston from the police department and the fire department. And then Agent Bello. Wanted to thank Agent Kogan for being here as well and for your work in our community. And I also wanted to acknowledge Lou Mangini from Rosa DeLaura's office, who's joined us as well. Chief Jacobson, Chief Alston.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to say I'm starting my 26th year in law enforcement, and it's the first time that I feel over the last few years under the mayor's administration that we actually have the help, like people like you. And it's not about locking people up, it's about getting them the help they need. And it's a much better approach, and I feel that the city has really helped us. And we're to a point now where we're not locking up users, we're locking up people that sell.
Chief Alston set this up. Yeah. Just let him go by. Let him go by. So, Chief, we can hear Chief Jacobson speak.
You're going to stop when I start talking.
No. So I think it's important to note that I feel like we're heading in the right direction and we're doing the right things. And I thank all of you standing up here for what you've done for not only the city of New Haven, but for the police department and the approaches that we're taking. I'm just going to give some statistics. Since August of 2021, we've had 81 cases related to fentanyl. Of those cases, 101 people were arrested. 48 cases are still pending in court. 8 cases were federally adopted. 35 cases were found guilty. And 20 of those 35 are still incarcerated in state custody. And my message to that is the people that are selling fentanyl, some of them need to go to jail, and we're doing that. But the other part is getting people the help they need, and you guys are all doing that, and we can't thank you enough. Before I turn it over to Chief Alston and I turn the police sirens on, I wanted to thank the DEA. The DEA has been tremendous in this city. They help us in any possible way. They help us with violent crime. If I need a helicopter, they get it. And I just thank you guys so much. You've been great partners. Chief.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for all of the work. This is not just one agency that has to address this. On this very site 5 years ago, we had a massive overdose incident, mass casualty, where 116 folks overdosed in 36 hours. I come from the response side, the firefighters that respond, and I'm so proud of the paramedics and firefighters that we have who understand that we are in an epidemic of substance use and polysubstance use. Polysubstance use is unintentional. It is not a crime. These are folks that need help. And Narcan is one of the best ways to support them, but also to stay with them. What we're starting to see now is that even the fentanyl is being laced with other chemicals to sustain the high and the duration, and it causes folks to stop breathing. So even once Narcan has been administered, we have a rescue breathing problem. So it's important for folks to learn CPR so they can breathe for other people. I want to thank our partners, Mark Jenkins. When we had that massive overdose and we didn't have enough fentanyl, enough Narcan on hand, we got a phone call from them. Said we've got Narcan, 1,000 doses of Narcan in a day that he supported us with. So I greatly appreciate him. We see each other out in the community all the time, and the efforts of the mayor getting Compass involved, because you can't arrest folks for substance use. You have to love them and you have to help them. And yes, the fire department is their brothers and sisters keeper. Thank you, Mayor. And here they come.
Nice timing. Nicely done, sir. Nicely done.
It's a gift.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephen Bello. I'm the acting deputy special agent in charge for the Drug Enforcement Administration's New England Field Division. I want to thank Mayor Elliker for inviting DEA to join in recognizing National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. The most urgent drug threat facing our communities is fentanyl, and the Mexican cartels responsible for poisoning and killing Americans at a catastrophic rate. More than 107,000 people died from a drug poisoning or overdose last year, and 66% of those were caused by fentanyl. There are two Mexican cartels primarily responsible for the poisoning and the killing of people in our communities, and those are the Sinaloa and the Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación, or CJNG. These are violent, greedy criminal organizations responsible for mass production and the supplying of virtually all of the deadly fentanyl that hits the United States. DEA's top priority is dismantling these organizations responsible for bringing this poison to our communities and preying on our most vulnerable citizens. That mission's one that we are joined in by the New Haven Police Department, and Chief Jacobson, DEA, is extremely thankful for the relationship that we have and the partnership that we have with the brave and honorable men and women that work in your department. So I thank you for that. On this Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day, let's talk a little bit about fentanyl. Highly addictive, 50 times more potent than heroin, and an incredibly small amount can kill you. Just 2 milligrams of fentanyl, a few grains of sand, the amount that fits on the tip of a pencil, can result in a fatal poisoning. Fentanyl is often hidden, as we've heard, mixed with other drugs to where the user has no idea that they're about to take fentanyl. This is incredibly dangerous. They're mixed into cocaine and methamphetamine and frequently pressed into pills that look identical to real medicine. These pills are widely available and deadlier than ever before. DEA laboratory analysis shows that 6 out of every 10 fake pills contains a potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. You'll hear us say, 1 pill can kill. Well, that's not just a catchphrase and that's not just a slogan. That's a very scary truth. It's the world that we live in today. So I'm begging you all, have that conversation with your loved ones, with your kids. Do that sooner than you think you need to. Talk to your roommate if you're in college, and have them understand that if the pill that they have in their hand wasn't prescribed to them by their doctor and obtained at a legal pharmacy, they should not take it, because it's playing roulette. You don't know if that pill happens to contain a lethal dose of fentanyl, because it's likely that it was manufactured in Mexico or in a warehouse somewhere here in the United States, and the person making it didn't care about quality control. They just made the pill because they want the money. So again, you should never take a pill that was not prescribed to you. So at DEA, we're doing all we can to combat the crisis. In 2022, DEA seized more than 58.3 million pills containing fentanyl. and more than 13,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. This equates to nearly 387.9 million potentially fatal doses that didn't reach our communities, and we continue to seize fentanyl at record rates. I encourage you to go to DEA.gov and take a look at our website. They have a seizure tracker there where you can see the efforts that are ongoing. The DEA doesn't tolerate these types of crimes, and we're going to continue to pursue those organizations, those criminals who put their own financial gain before the safety and the well-being of the people residing here. Almost gone. I'm proud to be here with all of you today and to recognize the incredible work of the people that stand up here with me. All of you are relentlessly committed to making New Haven and all of Connecticut a safer place, and I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Agent Bello. So this concludes our event for today. I wanted to reiterate my thanks to all the individuals that are working on this issue. And if you will allow me to, I'd like to just ask that we have a moment of silence for all of the individuals that we have lost to overdoses. Thank you again, everybody.